Hello and welcome to another episode of Baering the List, an ongoing series where I use Tier Maker. Hi, Tier Maker. You're not a sponsor, but if you'd like to be, please let me know. That's my message to Tier Maker. Here's my message to you. I rank things. Everything from wrestling to anime to... I keep saying music, and I've never done one on music. Maybe someday I will. I don't know. In the comments below, let me know if you want to hear some tunes talk. Also, let's talk about other kinds of tunes. Cartoons, that's right. We are ranking some Toonami shows. Now, I want to be very clear. This is a specific thing. We are doing 1997, the birth of Toonami, until 1999, when Moltar, who is the original host, was switched for Tom, which is what you think of when you think of Toonami. You think of Tom, the CG robot man person, who is the host of it. You don't think about Moltar. And you also don't think about a lot of the shows I'm going to be talking about here. But I want to be specific because there are a lot of shows that are on Toonami, and I will rank them all. But I'm going to be doing it in time periods. So I'll be doing this. The next one, we'll see some of your favorites. There are a few favorites of yours probably here on this list, and a few you might have not known were included in the list. So let's get into it. First and foremost, as I said, I may have already also said first and foremost, so whatever. TV shows, not movies. So you will not see the Dragon Ball Z movies listed in this. You will not see the made-for-home video movies in Batman the Animated Series, which also were on here. Mask of the Phantasm, I believe, and I want to say that Mr. Freeze movie. We won't see those listed, and then none of the Dragon Ball Z movies as well, or Dragon Ball. No, they're all Dragon Ball Z movies. It would have been weird if they included a Dragon Ball movie, but they could have. Anyway, let's talk about it. So we're only talking about a 2-year period here, and we're going to go through the shows in the order they appeared on it. So we'll talk about the first 4, and then we'll move on there. The original Toonami lineup was Thundercats, 15 minutes of Cartoon Roulette, Voltron, another 15 minutes of Cartoon Roulette, and then Johnny Quest. This is the last time I will mention the lineups as they stand. I will only mention shows that were added to it. I might talk about how briefly they were on there, but I won't talk about the actual lineups of the show other than this first, because this is where our cartoon wave, our wave of cartoons, our Toonami begins. And it's the action block. This is where we're starting. This is where things begin. And it begins with Thundercats. And that's a good way to begin. When you think of Toonami, a lot of people think of Toonami as a more adult-oriented fare later at night. They're thinking more direct anime dubs of things that are concurrently or just recently happened in Japan. But it got its start with, well, let's talk about some stuff that came out in the past that we still think is good, cool action. And Thundercats is good, cool action. I'm going to put it as a solid A. Now, it's also an A because when I start thinking about the other shows on this list, I don't want it to be too many S ranks. It's definitely not S rank. It's good. I think the dub is solid. I think, some of the animation is a little of its time in the 80s, and it certainly isn't anything revolutionary, but it's a solid show. Cartoon Roulette. And you're saying, Pat, do you mean Super Friends? No. You can see that there. Super Friends is a part of the Toonami lineup in this era, but it comes way later. Actually, I had forgotten how late it came. It doesn't come till 1999. It's ninth in the shows. So this is Cartoon Roulette. Now I had to actually look this up because I'd forgotten everything was part of it. They were 15-minute chunks. This is very like in the same way that they tried to reuse before. We had Space Ghost Coast to Coast when they were just like, let's reuse and remix some old stuff. So this is old shows. There were a few things that were included in this, and I had to look it up because I couldn't remember all of it. Everyone remembers Birdman. Not what they eventually did with Birdman. This is just old-ass Birdman. So these are just shorts. They're included in this 15-minute length, and it could be any of these. We got Birdman. We've got Galaxy Trio. You all remember Galaxy Trio, right? You remember Gravity Girl and Vapor Man and Squint, Meteor Man, and they flew on Condor 1. No. Herculoids you might remember. Herculoids pretty cool. And the thing that Herculoids is they're weird. They're just weird as heck. So always appreciate that. Uh, Also, it's a post-apocalypse, and I always thought that was kind of interesting to do. Because like there's still technology, but it's kind of lost. Space Ghost, just some Space Ghost. Even though Moltar was hosting, still Space Ghost, and the Fleischer Superman shorts. There were a bunch of these, the old ones. They used a Superman in a lot of Cartoon Network promotion at the time. It's not good. It feels like, well, we need more for this action block. I only have so much of a budget. We can't get new things in. It's action. It's afternoons. This is kind of how we exist. So I'm going to put this as C. A couple of these shows individually are interesting. It's Toonami. And this is not Toonami. This is, But Voltron feels Toonami. Voltron feels like this is, as I said, and same thing with Thundercats. This is stuff you would have seen before, but feels right in this block. Feels like cool. And also because it's, daily, you feel like you can really start seeing shows, and you can really start like getting the plot for a longer series like Voltron, which is its own it's got some issues, but it's solid. So because it's a combination of shows, and I don't got time for that. But it's as good. It's a good show to show up in here. Now we got the Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. No, Frank Welker's the dog. That's great. Was like, this is the predecessor to a lot of these reboots where it's just like, hey, you remember this cartoon? Well, it's the 90s, and this feels more Saturday morning than every day. I mean, the voice cast wasn't consistent. I have no necessarily appreciation for the original Johnny Quest, other than what it means to the world in that the Venture Brothers is Johnny Quest. And if you didn't know that, take a look at some Johnny Quest. Maybe the Real Adventures. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go C. It's B at best. I might come back to this, but nah. Oh yeah, we're S A B C D. I don't know if anything's a D. No, I don't think either of these are a D. They're at least a C. They're enjoyable. And then all right, Robotech. Robotech's tough because it is such a weird mishmash. It does feel like what they're trying to do, like, well, if the numbers are good for Robotech, we can start doing more animated stuff, more anime animated stuff. Because people like that, and I think that's where it's going. And maybe we could do less recycled stuff, but it's still old, and we got a lot of it. So I'm going to put that as B. It's not the same to me. It just doesn't have the same love I have for Voltron. And it is such a weird mismatch of things. Beast Wars Transformers. So I want to put this in S rank, so I'm putting it there to move it. Here's the thing. Beast Wars Transformers is barely part of Toonami. You would be totally forgiven for forgetting it ever existed. It was like 2 weeks, a week, a month. It came and went. Such a short period of time for Beast Wars Transformers. I think Beast Wars Transformers is incredible, despite the fact, somehow, maybe even because some of the senior writers on the show were not diehard Transformers fans and were trying to do something different, interesting with it, and then things had to get retconned and figured out in the larger scope of it when they brought in more writers who did have a passion for Transformers. I think it's a cool show. It pushes that animation. We'll talk about another show by the same style later. So it can't be. I can't put it any higher than A. I can't put it any lower than A because even though it's a blip, and it's still incredible. I love Beast Wars Transformers so much. I have a little less love for its sequel. And then in Japan, here's a fun fact, because where am I going to be able to talk about this? Beast Wars Transformers 2 is traditional style animation and is a comedy series because apparently Japan did not enjoy Beast Wars Transformers. So Beast Wars 2, I believe it's called in Japan, is much more jokey and is not in computer generated. Sailor Moon, S rank. Also, this is where Toonami becomes Toonami as we know it. Obviously, it's not Toonami without Tom, really, but this is the move. This is where we're going. This is the light. This is where you're going to get uncut, late at night, soon. But like when you think about this is the made for TV, this is the kid version, and then there's the real one. We're actually getting closer to this, the late 90s, early 2000s golden age of U.S. audiences getting anime. Like getting anime we can forget about, because early 90s, mid 90s, you'll watch Samurai Pizza Cats and it's fine, but you're going to watch it because it's anime, and you'll watch Card Captor, and you'll love it, but you'll be like, I don't even know if this is really right for me, but it's anime. And then Toonami comes along and it's like, well, here's some great stuff. And then also here's some stuff you're going to forget was ever on here. And that's okay. We're going to give you anime that you can ignore. That's how much anime we're going to give you. And it's also, it's fucking Sailor Moon, assholes. We're never running for a real fight because she is the one named Sailor Moon. And it's happening. And it's goddamn Sailor Moon. And also, is S rank? Goddamn Dragon Ball Z. Uncut, cut, dubs, the Funimation dubs, the Ocean dub, whatever you want, whatever you got. It's Dragon Ball Z. Because if you are anywhere near my age, you watched the first 13 episodes of Dragon Ball, and then you started watching Dragon Ball Z on a Sunday morning. You either try to get your folks to get to church later or earlier, because sometimes it just wasn't lining up, and you got to watch this episode of Dragon Ball Z and find out how they're going to beat. Who's Vegeta? What? Who's Piccolo? What is this? Krillin's big now, huh? You didn't even know Krillin. You didn't even know Krillin if you only watched the first 13 episodes. You were like, hey, Yamcha doesn't seem as powerful anymore. Weird. Who are any of these people? Goku has a son? Man. Discovering Dragon Ball Z, not knowing anything, just going from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, that's a trip and a half. I mean, it's Dragon Ball Z. What do you want from me? You want me to put this as B or C tier? Forget it. Forget you. Super Friends. Get out of here. Look, in a vacuum, maybe Super Friends is B tier. Super Friends is B tier. Super Friends is great. I'm mostly thinking of it's 1999. This is the second to last lineup change before Tom takes over and things really kick off. And you're going to throw in Super Friends? You're going to throw in Super Friends? Get out of here. What are you doing? Super Friends is great, but what's it doing here? And then, briefly, and part of the transition, before we start seeing more anime, before we start getting some Gundam in here and really kicking things off, Reboot. Where do I look? Reboot is S tier. Reboot goes places. I mean, it goes on the web, my friends. We got characters changing and growing. We got a villain becoming a face, becoming a hero. The redemption of a character that had been betrayed by her own brother. There's a whole episode that celebrates a birthday, and there's a guitar solo by the main villain of the series, which that was his whole plan. Was like, well, I'm gonna do something cool for this birthday. Uh, look, this is a cartoon with stakes. If you're a good video game player, you are killing characters in this show. Stakes. And then characters like aged and grew in the games. It came back. Then there was a weird period where like there were two Enzos. That was weird. It's real weird. Reboot fucking rules. And fuck you if you don't agree. I don't know why I started swearing when Sailor Moon showed up. I feel like I wasn't swearing before Sailor Moon. But you can say, well, Pat, how are you going to put Reboot as S tier, but Beast Wars Transformers as A tier? Beast Wars and with Thundercats and Voltron. Well, like I said, Beast Wars Transformers just a blip. You got a lot more of Reboot. I'm gonna go and look at it for a quick second here, but I believe Reboot. I have a listing. Sorry, you may have heard a sound effect there. Maybe you didn't. I don't even know. Reboot. There's Reboot. Okay. How many times? Yeah. Oh, Reboot's all okay. Your Reboot is staying around for a bit. Reboot is there for. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Reboot's here for like a year. Okay, yeah. And also, yeah, what am I even saying? The fourth season, the mysterious fourth season, the thing that, fans had been hearing about for forever. That's part of Toonami. I mean, yes. Reboot is going to be part of the next series of videos I do with the Tom era. We start getting into it. But what was I even saying? Like, yes, let's do this thing. Let's get into it. We're doing it. It's great. Reboot is S tier. Looking at this list, am I being too hard on any of these shows? I don't think I am. That you could make a case. Oh, you can see I made this. You can see down the bottom there that I moved everything up. I made this tier ranking list. Oh man, we're almost going 20 minutes here. But I think Super Friends maybe is C tier. Yeah, you know what? Super Friends is C tier. What am I? Yeah, I can't. I'll put it at the top of C tier. Yeah. So this is your 10 shows from the Moltar era of Toonami, and you will see more of these in the future. The videos. I will be doing at least one more. I might do two. I might do. Well, yeah, I'll do the 2000s. The end of '99 into the 2000s. I'm just kind of looking here because, like I said, I have a listing of all of them. Do I really want to go till 2003? Yeah, I think I want to go till 2000. Well, 2004. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to see how many shows show up in it, and I will make the decision there what I'm going to be doing here. Because that's 5 years, so I might do that. But we'll see. Anyway, tune in next week for the next one. If you're not watching this as they come out live on YouTube, you can watch it. Maybe the next one's already out. But yeah, leave me in the comments what you think. Do you think that I'm putting Reboot too hot? Am I being too mean to Super Friends? Was Real Adventures of Johnny Quest your favorite show growing up, and I'm a fool? Did you think that Robotech? Man, you got to watch the subs, buddy. Let me know in the comments below. And hey, if you ever want to see me rank something, you can put a link to a thing, and maybe I'll rank it in the future. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next Baering the List. Bye-bye!